Hey there, this is Mini Pots, and I have something a little bit different for me. I wanted to talk about this for some time, and that is, where do you folks get your inspiration? And where does this come from in the sense that I'm in the United States and we don't have, well, so I got into Silver Bayonet on a surface level. I have not played it. I've collected some of the miniatures, I've painted some of the miniatures, but I've not played it. And here in the United States, the Napoleonic Wars are not as much of a big deal as some other games. But I wanted to paint what I could, the best that I could. And I found Osprey for obvious reasons. And I didn't buy the selection of books there is, it's huge. But I found this, and I really found this, I'm going to use the word inspirational, in the sense that it has tons and tons of nice color pictures. Now, if you were painting anything but military people, it's a little bit harder to find, or not, it's not in here as much. There are some pictures where you can extrapolate people in the background and you can get some ideas of the different colors that they might be wearing, and then you can Google 1800, 1700, 1800 dress, and you'll get some pictures off of the internet. So that's my next thing, is to get some stuff for average people. But the next bit was I got into The Last War, A War Transformed, and it had this. I These were given to me. I put them on a wish list, and my wife humors me. The Now, being in the 20th century, there's a little bit more, and I can empathize more with the dress and stuff for people that weren't that weren't soldiers. But it's nice to still see everything in one place, and you get an idea, rough idea, and it's actually pretty good, of the colors at the different things. I do not try to color match the pictures in here. I'm sure that there's a better source for that. And then I got a few games, I mentioned them a few times, that are Greece based or take place around. And this has a little bit of everything too. Now you can look at the miniatures on the Victrix page, and they have some really, if you look at their galleries, I haven't looked in the last couple of weeks, but I know, because I looked prior to that, where they had some really great pictures in their galleries. So when I was a kid, this is how you'd do it. You had the Encyclopedia Britannica, and you would go flip through, and there wouldn't be a lot, but it'd be more than what you would get from your school books. And then went to the library, and so I started trying to collect a small personal library of reference books for ideas for. I went to thought of doing the purples, the red and whites, blue, white, and reds. Now, I'm going to say something sort of Egyptian. Okay, not just sort of, it says right here, Egyptian officer, but it gives you ideas for your ancient guys. I live in an area where I would have to travel 2 to 4 hours to get to a nice museum where I might be able to see this. And yes, Google is your friend, but there is so much crap out there with having to fish through the different stuff. And yes, there's a lot of great stuff. But it's all in one here. And yes, unfortunately, I'm using one source, but 2 or 3 books, and you have it. I mentioned Osprey earlier in this, and so they do this nice book. They do several actually, and it's a similar motif. Nicely illustrated, and I don't see the key, but where you can see the different colors, you can see different formats. I don't think of bronze as being such a bright gold color, but it all the painting I've seen on it, that's what they do. They do the different statues, so you get a different perspective. Now, I have been working on Hide, Stone, and Bone. I do not have any books for ideas around that. That's may or may not happen. And I don't know really why, but I don't have books. But I wanted to do some stuff for Majestic 13. There's also Black Ops by Osprey. And so this had some cool camo ideas, different techniques, different ideas on how to paint it, and the whole thing. Now these are using, I don't know what scale of miniatures. They're huge. They'd almost be 8-inch to a foot tall. So people are more concerned about the detail, but it gives you at least a rough idea. They show here how the set, of course, being AK, they're going to show primarily AK paints, and I know they've done some silly things. And I say silly, I shouldn't say silly. It's very offensive things in the past, but it's still a great resource. This, in particular, there might be other ones by other publishers, but this one I found readily on when I did a Google search, and so I got that for my modern, and I didn't want to do just all black or all gray, or I wanted a little bit different. And then there's magazines. Yeah, I stepped away and I brought these, and they have, this is Wargames Illustrated, who do a wonderful layout, wonderful colors that they're using. And yes, they are covering, this particular magazine covers a little bit of everything, primarily historicals though. Source of Precision does the World War One. I forget what that tank is called. But this particular, I don't get it very often. I was trying to, when just around the time they stopped offering the subscription here in the States, I showing stuff like Cobblestone Casting. They stopped doing the subscription. I hope I did not repeat myself or sound totally dumb there, but so now I'm not going to be able to do that detailed. I don't, yeah, I'd like to, but I don't have the time to. But if you have the colors and you have the basic idea, you can give the impression, which is nice. Yeah, that lets you know how old this is, from 2024. So I keep it around. I refer to it occasionally. Then Painting War has a whole series of really good magazines. They're using primarily Vallejo paints, I believe. And I have one of these, and there's a couple I would like to get where they go over. Yeah, I think those are Vallejo numbers. They go over Dark Ages and some World War II. And I think they probably need to do a couple more books, and then you'll have a nice, or update these older books. Now, they're not old, but they are all published. Looks like 23 was when this was done. The paints have changed a lot since then. And this is something neat about these books. At the bottom, they'll have the different parts and the colors that you might want. So you don't. So here you're getting the horse, but down at the bottom, how to Caucasian skin, the uniform, coat, epaulets, etc. From what I gather, they are all basically the same, but these I couldn't believe how nice they were. I was a little bit, so the writing, I didn't like I found it a little bit hard to read, but some modeling tips, but it adds a little bit of flavor to the book. And the books are pricey, which we sort of expect at a certain point because you're buying something solid, physical. It's going to be, although now digital stuff is getting to be just as much as the physical stuff, which I think is interesting, and a shame. So there's that. Then I found this odd book. So this is I got it with the idea of doing for Devilry Afoot and, yes, Napoleonic. And I know it's not the same, but that was my intent. Then once I got it, I was like, wait a second, this is like the Three Musketeers. This is mentioning that the North Star is doing a new line of Three Musketeer minis, which look interesting, which I think would be suitable for Devilry Afoot and Signs and Wonders, and would, if you have any of the Bloody Miniatures, would fit in the Bloody Miniature range. I don't know anything about this era other than the brief bits I've read or stumbled across. So it's nice to see these describing what they are. Okay, this is my take on it. It's nice for me to see this. I'm sure some people will be Boring. But hey, you do you. And hopefully, if you're watching this and you're getting something out of it, you're thinking this is pretty cool too. But now, something I will note is that you don't see, now these are, of course, it's all um, combatants, but you don't see pictures of the different dress for female or family, or I'm going to say the working class. But different bits of equipment. So this is about where I get my inspiration. I don't refer to these all the time. I look at them. I was one of those kids that would have my Batman comic, and I can still remember it was a annual from the late 70s, and I just wore that out. Then, of course, other things happened, and Star Wars, and just I kept on looking at those books and looking at them. But this is a place where you can easily, I said working class, then they showed the sappers. Different tents and sheds. But this would give you a nice idea for different things in your game, or games, or your, if you wrote fiction, or you wrote or drew, or like to watch stuff, or just you had a curious mind. So I take it, I stand corrected. There's a couple pictures of people riding side saddle. So these are some of the places I get my inspiration. Of course, I do the Google thing. I do watch some movies. I do watch and read different things. Sorry about that. The just sometimes those bits are a little bit too, not too permanent. But the book you have in hand, and yes, it's expensive to get a little library going, but I'm doing this also because I have the kids, and the kids I hope will find interest in it. And this was also interesting to me because, well, the time period. Well, this is for, okay, this is for the 30 Years' War. That's not why I bought it for. But that gives an idea what the. And it's a, I'm thinking it's a college publication of some kind, or a reference publication, but this is invaluable. And what prompted me to buy it was, okay, I did not pay the $50 price tag, if you haven't seen that, was the, I think I got it used, hence the time period, which I thought would be appropriate for Signs and Wonders, as well as, well, primarily Signs and Wonders and Devilry Afoot. So, but just, if you have any ideas or anything like that, leave it in the comments below of different places where people can get different bits of inspiration, thoughts, ideas. There's some great On a different note, there's some great pictures showing different spacesuits but I would like to have something physical. And I remember having that when I was younger, but time and moving away to college and family, that all takes its toll on things. But gives you something to think about, gives you something different. And if you're curious, you have it. You can refer to it. So, where do you get your inspiration? Thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of this. Hope you enjoyed it. And think of things in a little bit different perspective. Have a great one and happy gaming.